Good morning. Thanks for joining us in St. Catharines. We are at one of the 3 different Kintec locations. This is all about orthotics, custom footwear. We're being joined by Corey, who is the manager. And Corey, I know there are a lot of myths about, keeping your feet healthy, and specifically with orthotics. Now, I have had a lot of communication with you in the past.
Yep.
I suffer from wicked plantar fasciitis. It is not fun.
No,
you saw me suffer. But instead of doing orthotics, we got something else, which we will talk about. But first, let's focus on orthotics, and do they actually help or do they weaken your feet?
Yeah, so it's one of the biggest myths is that orthotics weaken feet, and we know that orthotics don't actually cause enough deformation to weaken feet.
Okay.
A big thing for us is that we know that pain decreases muscle activation. So if you're in pain, you're not going to want to use those muscles as effectively. The whole goal of being in an orthotic is to redistribute weight and pressure in the feet to help decrease pain. So if we can decrease pain, we know that those muscles will be activated. And in turn will strengthen, which is a great thing. So being at work, for example, standing for extended time periods, we know won't strengthen your feet.
No.
But it's the activities you do after work that can help strengthen those.
Okay, and when you're doing those activities, you wear your orthotics, right? Like that's kind of the goal in order to get you back on your feet. So you fit people for orthotics in many different ways, or many different types of orthotics, right? For
sure. So one of the new orthotics that we have is our 3D printed industrial or work boot orthotic.
Okay.
And we can build this for specific workplace conditions. So this one typically has a little bit more cushioning. It's a little bit beefier, if you will, for individuals who are standing for extended time periods.
So like nurses, doctors, people that are on their feet, construction workers.
Yeah, this one we'll use more so for a work boot specifically, but we can build different devices for example, running shoes or cleats or for athletic footwear.
Oh, okay, I see.
So we can really tailor the needs to the individual.
Right. Yes, you did say that was workbook boot specific. I'm still, tired from Halloween. It's catching up to me. Okay, so this one is more for athletics? Correct,
yeah. So we use different materials and different shell fabrication design techniques, but we can, tailor those to the individual needs of our patients and then tailor them to the needs of the footwear that they're wearing as well.
Now, are there different exercises that people can do? Because, I know you're not a physiotherapist, but you do know a lot about feet and how to strengthen the muscles in feet.
For sure, and that's a big part of our approach here is our treatment programs. So not only would we be dispensing a device to an individual or to a patient of ours, but we have lots of other treatment options that we can prescribe, if you will, including exercises to help strengthen the feet. So those are different things that we can include in our treatment plans.
Amazing. Okay, the one great thing I know about Kintec is that they do customizable appointments. You can come in, they will spend time with you one-on-one to help fix your foot needs, because let's face it, a lot of us have them. Okay, lots more coming up on Morning Live. We continue to bust some myths about your feet. Don't go anywhere. We're back at Kintec in St. Catharines, and right now I am getting a 3D scan. Corey, this is such a cool piece of machinery because I can actually stand on this, and what are you measuring exactly?
Yeah, so this is pulling up a full 3D image of the feet. So, of course, this will look at things like length and width of the foot, which are 2 of the most common measurements, but it also looks at some additional measurements like forefoot height or thickness of the front of the foot and arch height. And we can use these measurements, if you will, for making different devices for some of our patients.
Like orthotics.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I'm on my feet a lot. Would I benefit from a pair of orthotics?
Yeah, for sure. So,
because maybe I'm not in pain. I am, because I have plantar fasciitis. But if I'm not in pain, do I benefit from orthotics?
Yes, absolutely. So not every person would need an orthotic, but it is a little bit of a myth that we're seeing is that people think orthotics are only for people in pain. And it is a large part of the population that we see here, but we do also see a large population that aren't in pain that are seeking orthotic devices. So yes, we do see a lot of nurses, we see a lot of retail associates, things like that are looking for help. And the main goal of any orthotic is prevention, pain prevention. So we want to try and reduce those factors. So standing on your feet for extended time periods, we know that you're bound to get tired and fatigue.
Yeah.
And that's the whole part of an orthotic, is trying to prevent those things from happening.
Right, so by looking at this, you can figure out what type of orthotic I need. And I understand that you guys now have this new 3D technology, like printed orthotic.
Yeah, so we have our new 3D printed industrial orthotic, which is our work boot design.
That's super cool.
So it's a cool way for us to fabricate orthotics different than maybe your traditional, sort of polypropylene or plastic shells that a lot of places will fabricate.
Okay.
And this is really specific for workplace conditions, again, making it more cushioned, measuring the inside of the boot to ensure that this fits perfectly. So it just makes it easier for us to really dial it in and make sure it fits you.
Like bang on, spot
Bang on, perfect, yeah.
Okay. End of year, a lot of people's insurance cover orthotics, correct?
Yeah, so we're coming up towards the end of the year, which is sort of our busy season in the orthotic industry. So we're seeing a lot of, an influx of patients coming in now before the end of the calendar year. And then a lot of insurance plans will reset in the new year as well. So people can come in and get different types of orthotics.
Yeah, because you might need a different one for your work boot than you would for, say, your running shoe.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally different materials.
Hockey skate.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
This is the place to come. If you have anything wrong with your feet in any way, shape, or form, Kintec is the place to make an appointment, come see Corey, and he will get you fit with the best orthotics. We've got more myths that we're going to continue to bust, but for now, I'm going to send things back inside the studio. So we're back in the lab now with Corey at Kintec, and there's the best thing about you guys, I think, is that you do so much on site. So people come in, they book an appointment, they say, okay, I need a pair of orthotics, you've distinguished that for them, you get them made, and then you can kind of personally tweak them back here in the lab.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what makes sort of our industry so nice, is that we can adjust or modify in-house for orthotics. Because one of the big myths is that orthotics are uncomfortable.
Right.
But with anything that's customized, it should fit you perfectly.
Like a glove.
It should fit like a glove, and it should be very comfortable.
Yeah.
There's typically a little bit of a break-in period with an orthotic, so it might take a little bit of time to get used to wearing it, mainly because you're just not used to having that type of support. But after a couple of days or weeks of wearing the device, you should be in it no problem.
So like when you put in an orthotic, your foot actually kind of changes, right? Like the muscle and your kind of your balance, everything, like it shifts to fit the orthotic, because the orthotic obviously doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's your foot.
Yeah, so the orthotic doesn't move at all, but without getting into it too much, when we cast the foot, we cast into a position that we want to put the foot into.
Yeah.
So we need to ensure that the orthotic fits perfectly inside of the shoe. We need to make sure that the orthotic fits perfectly to your foot, being a custom device. So that's why we can really, adjust and tailor as needed to ensure that happens.
How long does it take to make an orthotic?
So it takes us 2 weeks to have them fabricated.
Okay.
So 2 weeks for them to come in from the date that you're assessed to the date that they're dispensed.
Okay, and what are they typically made out of?
So we can use a variety of materials. Depends on your activity, depends on what they're going to be worn for.
Okay.
And it depends on what types of footwear they're going into.
And the new work boot one that you guys have, what is that one made out of?
So it's a 3D printed device.
Okay.
So the material's called TPU, but it's all 3D fabricated, like in a 3D printer.
That's so cool.
Which is really cool, yeah.
And like it's same time frame, 2 weeks for the work boot one.
Yeah, same time frame for that to come in. Same thing, we can adjust or modify. But we do actually measure the inside of your boot for that as well.
So bring your boots.
To ensure a totally perfect fit, which is great.
So bring the boot.
Yeah, bring the boot with you.
Do not forget the boot. Okay, so we're busting so many myths here. What's the next myth that we're going to be busting?
So next myth is you don't need a good shoe if you have a good orthotic.
Okay. Oh, wow. That one I'm interested because that one, that money's involved in that one. We will discuss coming up. There's lots more from Kintec in St. Catharines on Morning Live. It is time to bust myth number 4. Corey claims that if you have a good pair of orthotics, you don't really need a good pair of shoes, but you don't have bad shoes in here. So we're going to showcase some of the amazing shoes you do have in here. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of the most popular or common myths that we see is that if you have a really good orthotic, you don't need a good pair of shoes, but that's completely false.
Yes.
I always like to use the analogy of taking a Ferrari engine and putting it into a Toyota.
Don't do that.
Wouldn't do that.
No.
So the footwear selection that we have obviously is handpicked and curated by us to ensure that your supportive orthotic is going into the correct shoe. And that's why we do carry the selection that we have. But having a selection of winter boots and hiking boots, slippers, sandals and running shoes.
Don't forget dress work boots. I wanted to showcase these because a lot of women, like we wear high heels and our feet suffer a lot. So we don't have to compromise fashion or style to take care of our feet.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big things for us in the orthotic industry as well is if you're planning on wearing your orthotic in the shoe is taking the original insole out. So a lot of our shoes will have, or pretty much all of our shoes will have that removable insole. And then different features are built into the shoe, that will curate for each patient that we see to ensure you're getting the right thing.
Okay, now I said earlier that you guys have 3 locations because you've got Hamilton, you've got Stony Creek, and you've got St. Catharines, but you guys actually have 9 locations?
Yeah, so we have 9 locations in Ontario, and we have over 20 Canada-wide.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so Kintec's been around for a long time, over 30 years now, and making a presence throughout Canada, which is great.
Okay, so a viewer sitting at home right now with like the worst foot pain and they don't know what's going on, what do they need to do?
Yeah, so best thing is give us a call or visit us online. Patients can book in for what's called a one-to-one appointment or assessment. It's completely free for patients to do. That includes our 3D fit scan technology, so some of the measurements that we were taking of your feet earlier, paired with a video gait analysis of them walking on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And
sometimes like they don't even use the treadmill. Like that's why I love your people are so good. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to put you on the treadmill. I want you to walk down that hallway. And your people will go to the lengths to lie on the ground to watch your gait. No joke. Like your staff are so incredible here. They will lie on the ground to check your gait to see what's going on with your feet.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, we really tailor it to the patient experience. What works for one person might not work for the other, so we really like to tailor that and give each person, the best experience.
And then you check up on people when they come back in for another pair of shoes. I mean, I love it. The selection is huge. As you can see, we've got runners, we've got sandals, we've got slides, we've got boots. Thanks, Corey, for having us.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, so we'll have all the information of Kintec and where you can contact them on our website at chch.com.